Hello, and welcome to the Urban League Fights for You virtual series. Today's webinar, Resources for Your Small Business, is brought to you by the Entrepreneurship Center Program and the CARES Act for Small Business. And now, please welcome Senior Vice President for Economics and Housing Programs for the National Urban League, Cy Richardson.
Thanks very much, Simone, and thanks to all the attendees whom I welcome on behalf of the National Urban League. I'll be very brief, but I do want to take this opportunity to reaffirm the Urban League's important role in this work. Stephanie Devon and her team support more than a dozen entrepreneurship centers around the country, who in turn create networking and advocacy opportunities for Black-owned businesses. Our responsibility at National encompasses all forms of thought leadership and also supports Black-owned businesses with direct grants, directories, podcasts, educational webinars like this, and many more. Thanks very much for your willingness, commitment, and desire to learn more, the true hallmark of the successful entrepreneur and dynamic business owner. We are proud of our partnership with the Minority Business Development Agency, and we look forward to future engagements with each of you. I wish you much luck and Godspeed in your endeavors. Thanks very much. I'll now pass the baton to my colleague, Stephanie Devon.
Thank you, Cy, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of the Entrepreneurship Center program at the National Urban League, I welcome you. I want to first say thank you to our panelists and thank you to our partners, JPMorgan Chase and Comcast Corporation, who support the Urban League across a number of platforms. We're honored that you're here, and you'll hear more from them about the resources that they provide for small businesses very shortly. I'd also like to say thank you to Mr. Eric Goody, who you will hear from in just a minute, who serves as Area Vice President, Growth and Sustainability for the Houston Area Urban League, and also serves as the Director of our Entrepreneurship Center in Houston, Texas. Mr. Goody, a native Houstonian, I think I said that right, Houston, well, you know what I mean. He's a native of Houston. He serves again as Area Vice President for the Urban League in Houston, and during his 20+ year career at the Urban League, he's held positions as Director of Asset Acquisition and Management, Corporate Relations Liaison, Workforce, and Economic Development Manager. He is responsible for affiliate operations, program management, grant development, implementation, and coordination of service delivery, meeting the needs of the community in the Houston area. In his role, he also, as I said, manages Urban League administration, corporate relationships, identifies funding or charitable opportunities, and secures resources for education, entrepreneurship, housing, and workforce development and training programs. As you can see, he's very busy, and we're very pleased to have him. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce our moderator and panelist for today, Mr. Eric Goody. Eric?
Stephanie, thank you so much. It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure to serve with the Urban League, specifically here in the Houston, Texas market. I have the privilege of introducing a great partner with JPMorgan Chase, Mr. Kaneo Awizio. Kaneo is a senior project manager for JPMorgan Chase, specifically for the JPMorgan Chase Advancing Black Pathways Program, ABP. ABP is a bold initiative that builds on JPMorgan Chase's existing efforts to help Black people charter stronger paths towards economic success and empowerment, including business growth and entrepreneurship, financial health and wealth creation, careers and skills, and community development. Kaneo leads the business growth and entrepreneurship pillar for ABP. Kaneo has a strong passion for serving the underserved communities through his work. He has helped create coaching content for ABE, Advancing Black Entrepreneurs Program, on surviving COVID-19 for business owners. He has facilitated training sessions for the Boss Network, Essence Magazine, and New Voices Banking Bootcamp, organizations all tailored to help Black women in business. Prior to his current role, Kaneo spent 7 years as a business relationship manager, helping business owners excel and meet their goals. He strives to understand his client's business in a way that allowed him to bring unique insights and value to every interaction. Without further ado, I'd like to present Mr. Kaneo Owezium to contribute to the dialogue. Kaneo?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Eric. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I think you pretty much summed up my my entire career with the firm. But I just want to say thank you and you all for having me. It's definitely a pleasure and honor to be able to speak to your audience today and just talk about the resources that JP Morgan as the firm is bringing to bear towards this fight for equality for people of color in America. So like Eric mentioned, I work with Advancing Black Pathways, which is a firm associated with JP Morgan Chase. For those of you who may not know, JP Morgan towards the end of 2020 committed $30 billion towards fighting inequality and improving racial equity in America through our Path Forward program. So part of that is pretty much taking the whole firm and making sure everyone's aligned to certain initiatives and getting our resources to people of color in America. As Eric mentioned, I work directly with Advancing Black Pathways, which was an initiative that was launched in 2019. The goal of that initiative is to improve Black life in education, career, and wealth. Right, so these are three buckets we look to tackle. Ideally, helping Black students graduate high school and get to college, helping people in their career develop not just from entry-level roles, but seen more senior, Black VPs and managing directors and EDs in firms, and then the wealth side, which I work on directly. So I work with the business growth entrepreneurship pillar, and ideally, what I focus on is helping Black business owners get resources and thrive and survive in this environment, and thinking of ways to make sure that we're adding value. So we have a couple of initiatives that we've launched over a year now or so that NUL has helped us, kind of get out there. So I want to talk about these resources and make sure everyone's aware of them and you're taking advantage of these resources. So the first one I want to talk about is Advancing Black Entrepreneurship. So that's our flagship educational resource tool. So with ABE for short, we provide resources and education material for Black business owners at no cost. A couple of those resources are education modules, which we curate with different partners to make sure that the content is really tailored to the target audience we're looking to hit. And then we have our partners such as NUL go out and provide these coaching content to business owners. So a couple of modules we've launched so far, the Reclaim the Future module, which pretty much talks about, we're in a time frame of COVID-19, right? Like 2020 was a year like no other, especially for Black business owners, because we were disproportionately affected than any other race in terms of businesses that were shut down and unfortunately will never open again. So this module talks about, how do you deal with these uncertain times, right? How do you reimagine your business? How do you, the word of the day now is pivot. How do you pivot your business, right? How do you address your expenses? How do you protect your cash? How do you pay your bills, right? How do you, again, just reimagine your business and build it stronger where you're able to continue to, survive and support your community. Like we all know, business owners, they employ a lot of people, and if a business fails, it's a lot of jobs that people are missing out on as well. So we're trying to make sure that we help business owners survive in these trying times. Another module is the power of capital. That's one thing business owners are always interested in, right? Is capital, because cash is king. Cash is the lifeblood of your business, and you need capital to keep your business going. So truly understanding the power of capital and understanding exactly what that capital means for your business and how you could, the different options in terms of capital, like what kind of capital your business needs, what kind of capital you're able to get, and how a firm is going to look at you from a capital investment perspective, right? So our goal with that module is to truly have you look at your business from not just a creative perspective where you're looking at the tools or the services you offer, but from a bankability perspective, right? How does your business look on the books? People are so busy running their business, sometimes they forget that your business has to look good on the books for you to be able to keep that business going. And the third one is navigating your cash flow. Again, that just talks about looking at the engine of your business, right? Understanding, how are you getting paid, when you're getting paid, your cash flow cycle, the importance of your cash flow cycle, cash flow gaps, right? What kind of credit you may need. Do you need credit? Do you need an investor? Just so really honing down on certain skills that you may not have because you're too focused, running your medical clinic, running your store, selling your product. but these are parts of the business that you have to kind of understand as well to make sure you're successful. So those are 3 modules that, again, we're offering through our partners such as NUL, that's at no cost and is free to participate in and, you know, get value from that as well. Another offering we have right now is the MBE certification that we're covering the cost of, I believe, 200 certifications for 200 business owners this year. So for those of you who might not know, the MBE is a Minority Business Enterprise certification, and it allows businesses that have been certified to apply for certain contracts or win certain projects that are earmarked for Black business owners. So for example, if a company has a budget item or earmarked, $10 million to work with Black businesses exclusively, you need a certification to show that you are, a minority-owned business. So we're covering that expense for about 200 business owners for 2020, and that's something you could get through the NMSDC in terms of getting the certification, and we help cover the expense. And now the key part of that is once you get that certification, another thing we're doing is we're opening our vendor list. And what that means is we're letting business owners register with JP Morgan Chase to be providers to us as vendors, right? So our skin is in the game. We're looking to Black business owners who we can spend money with. So to do that, you have to register on our site. And if you provide a service or a tool or resource that we were able to use, then we're able to actually, bank with you, or at least, purchase from you and kind of add value as well. So those are a couple of things we're working on in terms of the global supplier side that I think it's a great resource that we're bringing that, out to the Black community, to the Black business owner community. And for me, one of the most important initiatives we currently launched is our Minority Entrepreneur Initiative. And what this is we've created a team of what we call senior consultants who go out in the market and provide education, mentoring, and services to minority business owners. So as a lot of you might know, I'm quite sure you have current bank relationships. Your relationship with your bank is very important. Unfortunately, sometimes you might not get the service you deserve, for whatever reason. And our goal is to fix that, right? So we have dedicated minority bankers in terms of senior consultants who their lone goal is to make sure, we're not really trying to sell you anything, it's just make sure we're providing you, great content, great content, great information and mentorship through the consulting firm, through the consulting arm of the bank. So for me, it helps you know someone in the bank. So that way, when you're ready to do different things, you have a point of contact to kind of walk you through and make sure you have access to all the resources that the firm provides. So that's pretty much in terms of what we're bringing to bear. We have a couple more things that we're working on. So again, I work with Advancing Black Pathways directly. So we're currently working on a few more resources because our goal is to make sure that we provide as much as we can for the Black community, because we know, again, historically, that hasn't been the case in the past. So for a lot of information I mentioned, we're definitely going to have the website, which will be Advancing Black Pathways. If you just Google that, that'll come up. And if need be, I'll share that again at a later date or a later time today. But I look forward to hearing some questions. And again, with Advancing Black Pathways, the pillars are pretty much career, education, and wealth. But for the business growth and entrepreneurship, that's my main focus. And it's to continuously bring resources to the Black community for continued success. So I know I said a mouthful, and I'm from New York, so I talk really fast. So I hope you can all keep up with me. But again, thanks for the time. Thanks for having me. I look forward to some questions, and back to you, Eric.
Taneo, thank you so much. I had the privilege of attending the National Urban League Conference where JP Morgan Chase announced the Advancing Black Pathways Initiative. And I have just been so impressed at the traction that the initiative has received from there. One thing, it's been so authentic. I just happen to have this piece of collateral produced by JP Morgan Chase. And it specifically talks about investing in the Black community, expanding opportunity for everyone. For me, that speaks to an understanding that an investment in Black community benefits the entire community, not only through capacity building in individuals and small business owners, but also the consumer. As an Urban League Entrepreneurship Center affiliate, we have had the privilege of utilizing the curriculums developed through the Advancing Black Entrepreneur Series and presenting that information to our small business participants as a takeaway. The curriculum is just so rich in content and provides an ongoing blueprint that they can follow to achieve their desired goals. So thank you so much, Kaneo, for your presentation. We greatly appreciate JP Morgan Chase and the Advancing Black Pathways and the Advancing Black Entrepreneurs. You know, without great partners, the Urban League proper is not able to fulfill our direct services and all of the core content areas that we engage in. Partnerships really is the lifeblood of what we do in fulfilling our mission. One of those great partners, of course, is Comcast. I would like to introduce Ms. Teresa Ward-Maupin. Teresa is a senior executive with over 20 years in the digital, mobile, and telecommunications industries. Teresa joined Comcast in 2015. In her current role, she oversees the digital and customer experience strategy and execution across Comcast businesses. Prior to joining Comcast, Teresa has served other positions at AT&T. Teresa is a champion for cultivating the next generation of leaders. And we all know how important technology is to building capacity in our young adults and the next generation of leaders. Teresa mentors many rising leaders at Comcast and across the industry. She is the executive sponsor for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee for Comcast Business and has accepted the Comcast Cable DE&I Council leadership role that launched and the launch of Comcast Rise, a program to support minority-owned SMB businesses and owners through the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition, Teresa is actively engaged in local and national STEM youth programs like Black Girls Code, a great program. Teresa has received numerous industry achievements and leadership awards. She also completed WICT's Betsy Magnus Leadership Program for Women and CTAM's Instead Executive Management Program. Without further ado, I'd like to bring forth Ms. Teresa Ward-Maupin. Teresa.
Hi, Eric. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you all today, talk a little bit about me, but even more so about what are some of the things that Comcast is doing to help from a digital equity standpoint, as well as small businesses. So definitely appreciate being on the panel today and being able to share a little bit with you. Eric talked about technology, and one of the areas of my responsibilities at Comcast Business is leading the digital and customer experience teams. So as we talk about what we're doing in the communities, I'll also share some of the key things that we're doing for small businesses, leaning in from a digital equity standpoint. So we continue to reinforce our company's long-standing commitment to addressing digital inequities, as well as the disproportionate impact to communities of color. We have launched Internet Essential Program. It's been in place for more than 10 years, where we have supported more than 10 million low-income Americans to the internet, and that started about 10 years ago. We also launched a great program this year called Lift Zones, and this is a multi-year program where there are more than where we are offering more than 1,000 Wi-Fi connected lift zones in various communities across the country to give students and their families a safe place to actually connect online. And our goal is to launch, we launched 200 last year, we will launch an additional 700 this year. So we are really excited about the opportunities to support in this area. I'm here today to talk to you about a program called Comcast Rise. And as a part of that program, we'll talk about what are some of the things that we are doing to, what's the program about? What are some of the things that we are doing to help our communities? And as we go through it, you're going to hear a lot of great pride and joy for me because I'm very close and near and dear to this program, and I'm sure it will come out as a part of the conversation. So as I mentioned before, last year, Comcast made a $100 million commitment to DE&I initiatives. And as a part of that, it really is to help fight social injustice as well as inequalities. We thought very long and hard on how could we bring this commitment to life. And we decided to approach it in multiple ways. One of those ways was the initial $100 million. But the second was being very intentional on who do we help, who needs the support, what type of support was needed, and how could we help? And we looked at it in a couple of ways. So one, when looking at who, as we heard earlier today, we know that minority-owned businesses were disproportionately impacted by COVID and the social unrest. So that helped us with who. We focused on Black-owned businesses first and have extended it to small businesses owned by people of color, and that includes Asian American as well as Hispanics. In addition, we looked at, well, what type of support is necessary? And again, you heard earlier that there are so many opportunities to help. One of the primary areas that we found so many small businesses have challenges in, if you go beyond capital, it is in the marketing, advertising, and the tools that they need to really not just run their businesses, but continue to build wealth and grow their businesses. The last thing we looked at was how, and we looked internally at effective advertising. They've got advertising and marketing resources that we brought to the table because we knew that was a gap. The other thing we did was we looked at some of the great products and services that Comcast Business has and thought of how can we bring those to life? How can we offset some of the costs and the expenses that these small businesses are experiencing by providing services for 12 months free. So that was one of the ways that we looked at it. So that really became or started the launch of Comcast Rise. And Rise stands for Representation, Investment, Strength, and Empowerment. And the program offers several things. One of them are the monetary grants. So we offer $10,000 grants to small businesses that have been impacted. The other thing is around marketing services and technology upgrades. So these are part of the focus areas. And in this situation, as businesses apply, some recipients may receive TV campaigns, creative production, advertising consultation from Comcast Business. They'll receive technology makeovers. This includes free products and services for a year, such as voice, internet, cybersecurity, but they'll also receive equipment. So think of computer equipment, laptops, desktops, tablets to really help continue to build upon their businesses. As I mentioned before, and we talked, I'm so glad to hear what Chase is doing because there are so many similarities in how we are facing this. But as I mentioned before, RISE stands for Representation, Investment, Strength, and Empowerment. And to us, the E also stands for education. And for that, we have partnered with a company called Eureka, which is basically an online platform for entrepreneurs that provides recipients with an online networking community so they can interact with other small businesses similar to them. So they can talk about what are some of the challenges they're facing, how some of them have addressed those issues. They can really look at where some of the biggest opportunities are and making sure that they've got access to a lot of information. So this online networking community has access to curated content and additional educational resources. We absolutely understand that small businesses are extremely busy. They don't have a lot of time. So we've created curated bite-sized chunks of content to really help them in taking and addressing some of the challenges we're having. So think of things like putting together a business strategy. How do you do that? How to put together a marketing plan. Simply, how do you hire? How do you set up HR systems if your business is a little larger? How do you handle taxes? Those are all some of the things that we provide as a part of this. We also offer mentoring and coaching to help small business owners as well. Our goal with this is to have a very big impact on businesses, but it's not just in this moment in time, but more so of how do we help businesses recover How do we help them sustain their businesses? But more so, how do we build wealth and allow them to prosper and hopefully change the impact that they are having on their communities, as well as the people that they serve. So let's talk about how businesses apply and who's eligible for this. And I think this is really important. So if you think about the fact that this is a multi-year program, small businesses can apply multiple times a year. They can apply, you can apply once, but you can apply ongoing. So if you get some form of support, but there's an opportunity for you to get support in a different area, encourage everyone to apply again. And you go to ComcastRise.com, and there you'll learn about how to apply, the information, the services. Let's talk a little bit about eligibility, because I do think this is important as you're going through, well, am I even eligible for the program? And the program is for small businesses that are owned by people of color, including Hispanic and Asian Americans. You've got to be over 18 years old, and you must be the primary owner and decision maker. For the Tech Makeover, you need to have less than 25 full-time employees or contractors. For the media and advertising consultation, you can have no more than 100 employees. Your businesses have to operate for at least 1 calendar year prior to applying, and they must be independently owned and operated. When applying, and I think this also is very important, you'll want to lean into a few factors when preparing your application. And those are, what are some of the challenges that your business has faced over the last year and a half? What are some of the things that you have done to keep afloat and to recover? Is your business still operating in a storefront or a brick and mortar, or have you had to go entirely digitally? Help us understand what some of those challenges have been so we can better provide services that will help your businesses be the most successful. So again, I want to end this with telling you, absolutely, if you are a small business sitting in the audience or attending this panel, definitely go to Comcast Rise, learn more about the program, learn how to apply for it, and recognize that you can continue to apply ongoing. Eric, I will turn it back over to you.
Teresa, thank you so much. Comcast, as I indicated, is just a great corporate partner of the National Urban League and the local affiliates across the country. Specifically here in Houston, we are a beneficiary of Comcast funding to provide technology training to individuals and small business as a capacity builder to allow them to achieve additional success. I think the fact that Comcast Rise not only speaks to addressing the immediate dynamic, but it is also very forward thinking and ensuring that this is something that the individuals can benefit from in the future. I think you used the term generational wealth. And, we really aspire to stand up our community in a way that not only allows them to be sustainable today, but to be successful in the future. So really appreciate you contributing to the dialogue. Of course, the very generous sponsorship that Comcast provides through the EC and through our other programmatic areas, and just serving as a great corporate sponsor. And then, of course, as a recap, Kaneo talked about JP Morgan Chase and their pathways. And so again, I think it also addresses, not just looking at the deficits that exist, the solutions that are necessary, but a pathway that is also forward thinking. So really appreciate that perspective that allows the National Urban League and Urban League affiliates across the country to serve today, but to prepare for the future. Thank you so much. As an Urban League affiliate that operates an entrepreneurship center, we're part of a network that really has a national approach. People of color really are changing the way America does business. We've all heard so many times the buying power of African Americans and Latino consumers tops $1 trillion annually. That is amazing, but it is also concerning because it just speaks to us as consumers. not us to business owners and those that are really facilitating. The research indicates that these groups also the fastest growing number of small business owners in the country. One thing that we saw during COVID was that there was a significant uptick in the number of business registrations. And while on the surface that appears to be very, very positive, it also speaks to the necessity that people of color identified to establish businesses because they could not rely on a job to support themselves and or their families. So what we look to do as a national network is not only to help people to register, but then to build foundations where those small businesses can begin to generate capital, to create jobs, to have greater access to procurements in the respective markets in which they operate. Of course, the National Urban League ECs, there's a national scope at providing these opportunities while we address the number one challenge that faces over 80% of small business owners, and that is the lack of capital, access to capital, and addressing cash flow. One of the empowerment goals that was established through the National Urban League that we look to achieve by 2025 is to help every American have access to jobs with a livable wage and good benefits. And we understand that entrepreneurship now is a life option to help individuals achieve that goal. Over the past many years, 70% of the participants that have come through the Entrepreneurship Center Network have enhanced their management practices and or strategies. Over 60,000, and this number has certainly increased since the last report, but over 60,000 businesses have been counseled, mentored, and or trained since 2006. Many of the Urban League affiliates have really unique capacities. Some are focused on women's business origination, support, and sustainability. Others operate based on governmental funding in their respective market and have a leadership in delivering those small business and economic development services. Others have really specific programs focused on sectors such as construction, where they build capacity in small business owners so that they are more successful in their business operation and also competitive in the marketplace where they don't underbid, leaving money on the table. 8 out of 10 individuals that have received services through the Entrepreneurship Center Network have rated the overall engagement as satisfactory. The Urban League is a servant organization. Our mission to empower African Americans and other minorities to secure economic self-reliance, parity, power, and civil rights transcends all of the core areas that we provide services in: education, housing, workforce development and skills training, health initiatives, and of course, entrepreneurship. Through the ECs, we create or assist in new businesses that are launched every year. One particular year, there were over 200 businesses that were launched. So it's not just about, again, the launch of the business, it's the job creation, the economic impact that small business brings to the community in which it resides, and the generational wealth that small business ownership helps in achieving to that business. The National Urban League Entrepreneurship Center Network over the past 2 years has really leaned in and addressed deficits that were a result of COVID. Many of us helped businesses, and we've heard this in some of the previous presentations, pivot to understand how to remain operational and sustainable during a time frame where they could not engage with consumers directly. What do you do all of a sudden when bricks and sticks is no longer relevant, but you still have a need to generate revenue and reach your consumer base? Technology, helping them to understand how to stand up a storefront utilizing virtual platforms, how to utilize technology to continue to sell, to create virtual marketplaces and deliver their goods and or services during a time where people were really uncomfortable with direct and physical engagement. So a lot of our services over the past year and a half have talked about the pivoting, the resilience necessary to sustain during a time of COVID. Here in Houston, the COVID pandemic has been exacerbated by a post-winter storm. So how to, deal with the necessity to rebuild. Houston was certainly not prepared for what we experienced, but how the Urban League was able to lean in and help not only our clients, but our small business owners address the rigors, leveraging funds that were made available through the city, the county, United Way partners, our corporate sponsorship to address those deficits so that people could sustain, recenter, and then resume with their business operations. Some of the programs that we collectively have coming online, I'm really excited about a program sponsored by PepsiCo, the Black Restaurant Accelerator Program. The pandemic, post-winter storm created huge deficits for many sectors. Some were hit harder than others. Hospitality, leisure, retail, and certainly restaurants, and specifically those that were minority owned and or operated. So this program is going to provide assessment of business needs, coaching, counseling, and then access to capital. The access to capital is going to be made available through grants administered by the National Urban League, but assessed locally by the entrepreneurship centers, and then those referrals passed up so that we can make these resources available. They can address their immediate need, look to stabilize, and then of course progress going forward. Another is the CARES Act program for small business through a webinar series. So additional information, access to resource navigation about the millions of dollars, billions in some cases, that are made available to individuals across the country. These are our tax dollars, and we want to make sure as a movement that our clients and customers are aware, that the small businesses understand how to navigate those processes, how to prepare themselves accordingly so that they have the documentation so that they can be awarded for these grants and or loans. But it's really about empowering individuals through information. So that is part of what we look to do. That is part of what we do. And we bring a very unique asset to the equation. The cultural competence and understanding what underserved communities across the country really need. We can have a discussion in a way that a general market provider cannot have, making sure that our people fully understand the opportunities that exist immediately in front of them, how to prepare themselves accordingly, and take advantage of the resources that are available. That's what the Urban League is about, empowering communities and changing lives. Again, I am Eric Goody, and it is a privilege to serve in that capacity along with my peers across the country. Urban League entrepreneurship centers that are located in the Atlanta market, the greater Chicago area, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Las Vegas, and I'm sure that Stephanie can shore up any that I have mentioned. With that, Stephanie, I will turn it back over to you and or field any questions that might be present.
Eric, thank you so much, and thank you to all of our speakers. I would like to open it up for questions, and Eric, I think you will be assisted by Corin Wilkins from the National Urban League in fielding any questions that have come through the chat or the Q&A. And so I'm going to turn it back over to you and Corin, who will speak from the beyond, the great beyond, in terms of directing you with any questions that you may have. Thanks very much.
Hello. Well, thank you, Teresa, Eric, and Kaneo for such a robust presentation. We had a few questions that had come in at the beginning of the presentation, and a few may have been answered. However, we will ask them again in the event that anyone missed some of the information. And I will try to also field the questions that are going to be coming up while I'm managing these questions. So let's jump in. Shauna asks, are these resources available to new businesses as well? So if we could just perhaps quickly run through that again.
Corin, I'm sorry, would you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. Shauna asks, are the resources that we discussed today available to new businesses as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Within the Entrepreneurship Center network, we serve clients that are pre-venture, venture startups, those that are operational, and those that are at a maturation phase. So yes, ma'am, the resources are definitely available within your market. You can find general information on the National Urban League site at nul.org. On the site, there is also a site map that then identifies the respective entrepreneurship centers and the markets that they serve. And if there's not one immediately in the city that you live, certainly the National Urban League can provide and connect you with someone that can be of assistance in a virtual manner. But absolutely, the services are available to startups.
Thank you, Eric. And I've placed our website as well as Comcast Rise and JP Morgan Chase. The links are in the chat for anyone to do additional research. Teresa, it looks like you wanted to hop in on that question.
Sure. What I was going to say is also new businesses, startups can apply for Comcast Rise. We really have a limit of being in business at least a year, but so many startups fall within that. So absolutely, new business can apply for Comcast Rise.
Great. Thank you. All right, so let's go to the next question. Robin asks, how do you help Black women business owners in New York? She specifically asked this question during Kaneo's presentation. So Kaneo, I don't know if you want to start with this question here.
Sure, no problem. So in terms of, I mean, it's not New York specific. So we do have a minority consultant in New York who could help you in terms of just provide guidance and mentorship. Depends specifically what you're looking for. My best advice would be to go to the Advancing Black Pathways website and reach out through the contact us feature, and we'll definitely put you in touch with the best person in the best vicinity for you who can assist with whatever your needs are, right? So if you're a startup, if you're an existing, whatever the case may be, through that website, advancingblackpathways.com, contact us under the business side. We'll connect you with the best partner for you at that point in time.
And Corin, I would also like to point to the fact that the National Urban League offices are located in New York. So you have direct access to Ms. Stephanie Devon and she leads the EC. So certainly she can provide some additional guidance and connecting you with resources that might be of assistance.
That's right, Eric. Thank you for that. Okay, we'll run to the next question. Patricia states she's in the process of buying a franchise. Are the programs you are discussing available to franchisees?
So I'll start. So they are available to franchisees. Again, it just needs to fall under the parameter of it needs to be owned by a person of color, and they absolutely can apply, franchise or not.
And I mean, I'll speak in reference to the banking side of things. So it's never a straightforward yes or no question. But again, my advice would be to get in touch with our consultant, because with anything in life, it's kind of like who you know, right? So having the right partner to kind of walk you through the options, because there's so much complexity behind that question, right? So rather than just sitting here and saying no or yes, my advice would be get in touch with one of our consultants, present your situation, and they can kind of guide you and provide you the resources in terms of what's needed. Are you currently situated to make that, acquisition, or, it might be work better at a later date. But whichever way, the guidance is going to be there. So that'll be my advice on that question.
And then, of course, the entrepreneurship centers can provide business consultation to the franchise owner and provide guidance. We work with the National Franchise Association, so there is a body of knowledge that exists within the various ECs, and the consultants can be of some assistance in that regard.
And the only thing I would add on top of that is just remember, as you're applying for this additional assistance, regardless of whether it's with Comcast or someone else, just really help us understand some of the challenges that are being faced. That really allows us to know what is the best way to assist you. So as you're going through that process, definitely make sure that you go through the preparation and providing us as much information as you can, because that'll allow us to tailor the support that we're providing to you based off of your needs.
Awesome, that's great. Okay, Kaneo, this question is specifically for you. Anthony asks, what are the requirements for applying for MBE certification?
So we're gonna have to refer that to the team you work with. So I say right now, you can have him shoot me an email. I'm not sure if my email's in the chat. I'll provide it. You can just
I'll
shoot
put
me
it in
an
the
email.
chat and
Perfect.
is it okay to drop the NMSDC link into the chat box as well?
Yes, exactly. So, because right now we're working on streamlining the process. So one thing I'll say is, we're kind of building this plane as we're flying it. So, a lot of programs we're working on, but the ultimate goal is just to help Black people. So we didn't want to wait till everything was perfect, right? So even the referral system right now is still kind of manual, but we're getting a streamlined process. But in the interim, you go directly to NMSDC. I keep messing that up, or shoot me an email. I'll forward you to them. Well, either way, eventually we'll have a streamlined process. But for now, we're kind of doing it this way. But please, please, please take advantage of these tools because, if you don't use it, you lose it. We want to make sure that we're showing that there is a need and this value is appreciated. So that's kind of my pitch to everyone out there.
And if I could just add to that, because I think your points are so valid, as well as Eric's when he talked about technology. The other thing that I would really encourage everyone to do is technology really kind of flipped the industry on its side when it came to COVID. There is such a desperate need for us to hone our technology skills, leveraging technology in a different way, ensuring that you are able to support your business. And when you think of like marketing and advertising, there's no better way than using technology to help you because it's much more affordable for you to use social and other vehicles like that. So I encourage you, as you're planning or you're revamping your businesses post-COVID, it's really important to look at how do you use technology going forward, and is your business positioned to leverage it? And we saw how the service industry, what they did at post-COVID. The ones that went ahead and allowed for online orders or curbside pickups or what have you, they fared much better than the ones that didn't have the technology or the websites or the infrastructure to support that. So definitely make sure digital is part of your investment in your plan going forward.
And before we go to the next question, really just want to also lean into that. One of the entrepreneurship centers through a corporate sponsorship was able to make technology products available to our small business participants based on their particular profile. And so as both of you have indicated, utilizing technology to create a solid foundation and to pivot during this time is integral, but also make sure that, again, you're taking advantage of the resources available through the EC, because we can, in some cases, connect you with entities that can offset the cost for obtaining these assets as you enhance your business model.
Awesome. All right, so I think we have time for maybe 1 to 2 more questions. Let's see, the next question was, how long does the process take for completing an application to receive funding? So I'll let anyone jump in.
I'll start. For Comcast Rise, we have tried very much to make the application process extremely simple. We got tons of feedback from focus groups that's been one of the biggest challenges, the complexity of applications. So in filling out the application specifically for the grant, you also have the applications for the core services. It shouldn't take you more than 15 to 20 minutes to do it. And the reason why I say that it might take that long is because we really emphasize help us understand the impact to you. And it may take just a little longer to flesh that out, but it's relatively quick, simple form for you to use when applying.
So I'll speak in terms, again, from a banking perspective. So we're not offering any grants per se. We're looking for traditional, cash flow financing. And a big part of that is really understanding your business, right? So again, it's never a straightforward answer on how long does it take to receive funding. Our goal is to make sure that you understand what your business needs and how a bank can help. And then make sure we're there to help you meet those needs, right? And a big part of that is education. So hence the modules we released as part of that education. But again, the consultants is part of that coaching, experience. So once we understand what your business does, your cash flow needs, and then, do your numbers make sense? Then we start that process of saying, okay, let's apply for, X, Y, Z, or in terms of 20,000, 30,000, whatever the case may be. So I think we need to focus more, like my message to everyone out here is to focus more on understanding your needs and building a relationship with the firm you bank with. Hopefully it's JP Morgan. If it's not, I understand, but whatever the firm that is, building that relationship so you have someone who can walk you through the process from A to Z, and you don't feel like you were left in the cold. I know, again, unfortunately, that's been the experience for a lot of Black business owners out there, where we don't feel supported by the banks in our neighborhoods. When we're here to change that, we're here to add these resources to provide you with the opportunity to, compete and get financing through traditional banking. So again, Advancing Black Pathways, the contact us page, and we'll put you in touch with someone who could assist you with all that.
And I'd just like to, of course, talk about through the ECs, part of what we do is help businesses to solidify their foundations. Part of that is business preparedness and having all of the appropriate documentation that you're going to need to complete these applications. What we saw in many cases for small businesses that were applying for, say, the PPP, they did not have all of the required documents that made them eligible, that allowed them to get the money, even though they may have been eligible. So having your cash flow statements, having your banking records, having your tax documents. So having all of that information readily available will allow you to complete these applications, be considered for the various fundings, and then get that money as quickly as it is possible. There was millions of dollars left on the table from PPP loans because small businesses did not have the appropriate documents in order to get the funding.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. We have one more question that came through. This will most likely be the last question that we take as we're at the almost at the end of the hour. Cynthia Wilkins is asking, I have an account with JP Morgan, although it is not a business account. Could I still go through JP Morgan Chase as a personal account holder, or do I have to move my business accounts over to JP Morgan?
Yeah, so again, the resources aren't just for, Chase clients, right? Like in terms of the education, this is all free resource. So if you're someone who's looking to start a business, right, you could reach out and again, through the same Advancing Black Pathway site and get information on that process as well. So to answer the question, you don't have to be a business client or even a personal client. We're providing these resources to everyone who's out there, Black business owners now or future business owners, just to educate people, because as Eric mentioned, in terms of PPP was a perfect example where not being educated enough cost people dollars, right? That could have saved their business. So education is key across the board. And that's one thing we look to make sure we provide, because that's it's a resource we provide at a relatively low cost. So please take advantage of that.
And then just in terms of ongoing education, I know, Kaneo, there is a participant workbook for every module delivered under the Advancing Black Entrepreneurs. And certainly this is something that the National Urban League and or the local affiliates can make available to any of the attendees on this webinar, just as an ongoing tool and a guide as they continue to progress in their business.
Awesome. This concludes our Q&A session. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say thank you to all of our panelists for sharing such great information and resources. We had a lot of great questions. If you have additional questions, there are resources available, as you've learned on this call. Please feel free to reach out to us at the National Urban League. I think that Corin has shared her email, and you can reach out to us. We can connect you with any of our affiliates at our entrepreneurship centers. You have the information for Comcast Rise and also Kaneo's information at JP Morgan Chase. Feel free to reach out. Eric is one of several directors, as he mentioned, but we're also located in Atlanta, in Baltimore, in Cincinnati, Cleveland, Jacksonville, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, New Orleans, and Washington, D.C. Feel free to reach out to us for any additional information. In addition, regarding the Advancing Black Entrepreneurs Program, I wanted to point out that the book that Eric mentioned is available, but I would also highly suggest and recommend that you go onto our website at nul.org. If you go into if you find us on the entrepreneurship tab, we can connect you through the JP Morgan Chase link to all of the webinars that Eric and Kaneo mentioned as a partner organization that we have hosted. And you can listen to, I think we have one more live that's going to be hosted by Los Angeles. Corin can put that information in the chat, but we have recordings of all of the other webinars. So if you missed them, if you want to hear about that in tandem with reading the booklet, you can hear those webinars and access those recordings on our website. So lots of resources available to you through the National Urban League. And again, thank you very much to Reza, to Kaneo, to Eric for sharing all this information, to our partners for their ongoing support of our program, to all of you for joining today. Be well, stay safe, and please do connect with us very quickly to get this information. And the last thing I will say, PPP money, May 31st is the deadline. If you need assistance, reach out to us at National Urban League and we can connect you with someone who can help you. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a great